Okay, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. It is still Wednesday, October 27th, 2021, and people, the love, the compassion keeps on. It keeps on coming from all of you. I need it. Thank you. I had another bad day, me, my wife. It's very difficult to deal with this. Anyway, these they're not just dogs to us. There's so much more than that. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, Chuck, if you're out there, and he was like, "Greg, let me tell you something." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "People don't deserve dogs." It just cracked me up. I think he's right. Most people don't deserve dogs. Anyway, let's get back to work here, people. Let's talk about this market and a couple of things that are occurring right now, and an absolutely shocking admission from a Federal Reserve governor. Epic stuff, and of course more bad economic news. So let's go back to the market real quick. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell about 245 points. The S&P 500 fell about 0.5%. NASDAQ finished at the flat line. Are you watching crude oil? Crude oil dropped 3% today. 3% today. No surprise. Again, here we go, people. I have explained to you over the past few days, I felt, and I still feel, that crude oil was going to fall under pressure after a parabolic move like that. I told you it would hit the market. Let me ask you, and I know you know the answer to this because you follow this blog. If crude oil today took a big hit, which it did, falling 3%, what sector of the market do you believe would have taken the biggest hit? Exactly. Energy. The energy sector and financials, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan today, that's just the way this plays out. Crude oil is the lifeblood of this market. A lot of people don't get it. They don't want to believe it. It's rigged. It's manipulated. If it falls low enough, if crude oil continues to drop, and like I said this morning, could easily drop into the 70s here. Easily. Low 70s maybe. We'll see. But if that were to occur, or if it were to drop into the 60s, watch for it. False flag. Refinery bombing. Ships targeted. Terrorist attack. Whatever they got to do. It always happens when crude falls. When crude is high, like it is right now, what do you hear? Nothing. Silence. Soon as crude falls, like I said, terrorist attack, bombing, pipeline disruption, a ship gets wedged in the canal, whatever they got to do to keep crude propped up is what they will do. A U.S. military airstrike somewhere. That's a big one. So watch for these things and listen for them when crude falls. 70s, 60s, God forbid lower than that. You might see something really big occur. Crude will not be allowed to fall without some kind of an event like that occurring. Okay, it's all rigged, it's all manipulated, like you can't possibly believe. And they do it right in our face. They think people like you and me are too dumb to recognize these things. How many times have I told you? Watch for this, people. Watch for that, people. And it occurs. When crude drops, it's their playbook. They always fall back on it. You understand? So, in summary here, yes, stocks fell today. Crude oil fell today. You know what else fell today? The MMRI, the Mannarino Market Risk Indicator. Again, in my view, it's the best risk indicator of this market, period, the end. And it fell back today into the 80s. We're like at 89. So what that tells me is the market dip, even if it drops more tomorrow through the end of this week, whatever's going to happen, it's going to get bought. It's going to get bought up. Now, a lot of this, like I said, keep your eye on crude. If crude recovers here, if they pull something off, well, the market's going to recover with it. If crude drops, the market will drop with it. That's the way it works. I'm not lying to you when I tell you that it's the lifeblood of this market. It's the lifeblood of the military-industrial complex, period, the end. Cryptocurrencies, people, another non-surprise. I told you to look for something like this with cryptocurrencies. I had said, whether it was last week or the week before, I actually said I wanted it to fall. I wanted crypto to fall, establish a new floor. It will go higher. I think we're starting to see that. I think we're starting to see that now. And again, look back at my track record with my calls on crypto. They've been pretty freaking accurate. Some of these trades take a while to play out. Some don't here. But anyway, you get that. Anyway, let us lovely people move forward here. We got gold and silver today. Nice turnaround. Did finish higher. Weaker dollar again being reflected in the MMRI. Let me bring something else to your attention that I don't believe people are talking about. I always focus on the 10-year yield. Now I focus more on the MMRI. But if you look at the spread between the short end of the curve and the long end of the curve, it's starting to narrow. It's starting to narrow. What does this tell us? The yield curve is flattening out. Again, when you see a flattening of the yield curve, it's a clear sign yet again that the economy is sucking. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Now let's talk about economic news that we got today. It's just lovely before we move on to the Fed, which you're going to love this. So we found out today, really, I want to see your shocked face. You won't be shocked. The trade deficit surging even higher now with exports plunging. Lovely. What a horrible setup. Again, our economy, people, is done. And it's getting even worse here. So we heard from another mega criminal today. The CEO of a Goldman Sachs, the Wall Street superbank. Now, he commented on this action of surging debts and deficits and exports plunging. And he said Goldman Sachs is going to be downgrading U.S. GDP moving forward. What does that mean? Well, our economy as a percentage of GDP, like I've been telling you since time immemorial, is contracting. It's going to contract faster. And what is that going to do? Along with the bad economic news, they're going to buy this pullback in the market that we just got a little sell-off today. Will it persist? I guess it depends on crude oil, of course. It will be bought and the stock market will go higher. Again, more bad economic news, the higher the market goes. Tomorrow we're going to get the first-time unemployment claim. It's going to be an abysmal number. Abysmal. And they're going to rig the data. They're going to tell you things and try to tell you it's the greatest thing in the history of the freaking world here. So what did I tell you? The trade deficit surging, exports plunging, durable goods orders. Here's another one here. Also drop. Imagine Greg Mannarino's surprise. No, not surprised. Absolutely not. It's out of control. Let us turn a page in my lovely book. I always told you about the yield curve flattening. I told you about Goldman Sachs. So, let's move forward. I got a couple other things here, which I don't think are that important. Now, there was a nice article right now. Actually, it's an interview that was done by a gentleman named Robert Arrow, the Mrs. Institute. I'm going to place a link to this interview in the description of this video, but I want to just cover a couple of highlights here. So, this gentleman interviewed Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller. Christopher J. Waller. Now, I would have to say this may be one of the most rare instances I've ever heard of. We have here a Federal Reserve governor explaining how the Federal Reserve manipulates data. Yeah. Right here. And it's in that article. So let me just highlight this for you real quick. So regarding inflation and economic data, market data, this is what, again, Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller said. As I mentioned earlier, these are all quotes, a lot of commentators, including me, he's including himself here, so he's implicating himself, have deflected concerns about high inflation readings being the result of outliers. And as a result, recent high inflation readings are subsequently transitory and not broad-based. But this is a fallacy. Pretty epic. Epic. Now let's move forward. Goes on to say this. Now, one could look at this data and manipulate it in several common ways. First, if one used a trimmed mean measure of inflation, you would just throw out the highest and lowest readings of the year. This is how they manipulate the data. They actually eliminate things they don't want to talk about. A second way, he goes on to say, a second way of manipulating the data is to say in 1 year, look over there, look, inflation is being driven by good factors, which then had an idiosyncratic, outsized price increase. But if you just throw that out, the underlying inflation doesn't seem so bad. The other thing, look at this. Oh, and this is a quote. Keep pushing the transitory narrative. Let me ask you, do you think anyone is going to be held to account here? We have here a Federal Reserve governor, thank you, sir. Well, government, they are the government. Literally admitting how they rigged the data. Now, I don't know. You and me, we get it. We realize it's all fake. It's all manipulated. It's all twisted. But this is the same dog shit, okay, that the mainstream media is pushing down everybody's throat. Meanwhile, they know the data's fake. You know the data's fake. I know the data's fake. But again, the brain dead people out there who have been dumbed down beyond the freaking point of belief, they think it's all real. And here we have a Federal Reserve governor telling us, no, the data is in fact all manipulated. Imagine my shock. I can't. Are you on the floor right now? Did you fall over in your chair? No, because you and me have known this for how long? Epic. Is this freaking epic or is this freaking epic? Anyway, in summary here, people, real quick. Let's just cover the points I went over here. We got a market here that fell under pressure. Dow falling like 245, S&P down 0.5%, NASDAQ flat, crude oil down 3%, MMRI lower. Okay, look for this dip or dip tomorrow, however it works out, to be bought. Okay, to be bought. Market's going higher, market's going much higher. The Fed is not going to stop. They have a goal. They have an end game. They have a final solution, that is to become the lender and buyer of last resort, to own it all. And they will do that by manipulating the data, rigging the markets, and every other thing that you can imagine, and things you can't even imagine, like bringing about a shutdown of the entire global economy so they could finish what they started out to do, to one day own it all. Period. The freaking end. All right, people, look, love you a lot. I really mean that. Thank you again for the outpouring of love and compassion for me, my dog. It's out of control. It really, really is. So what I'm planning on doing here, being that Prince is really, he's at the end of his road. He's definitely started to cross that bridge, that rainbow bridge. I'm going to spend as much time with him as I possibly can. It's very hard to say goodbye. People, love you all. I'll see you in the morning.